Pottery peeps. We are making Christmas cottages today, and it is such a beautiful day to be making them. Look at all that beautiful snow. Just love it. I'm in my own little snow globe today. Anyway, this is one that's finished. Isn't it cute? I used lace that I pressed in for the roof and then put white underglaze in it. And then I've got a bunch of little molds and stuff like that that I use to make like the door and so forth. I even have wood planks. So they're not very much. They're a couple of bucks off of Amazon. I would just, you'll get lost down that rabbit hole looking for molds. But these molds work great for clay too. So, and then just did, okay, funny story. See those cute little shutters with the hearts going up? Who wasn't paying attention? Hearts are going down. Oh well, it happens, right? Anyway, cute. And then this one I made, actually, it's still drying. So I really love this one. This one's a little bit more rustic. So it's kind of more my aesthetic. And then I put 3 big windows back there. Added a log at the top. And then I added white slip for the snow. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on how to do these. But seriously, gingerbread cutters for making gingerbread houses. So that's what I'm using. So make it super simple this way. And then it's just a matter of decorating. And it's so much easier to make one of these than it is to bake gingerbread and then try to get them together. So anyway, so what I'm going to do, actually, let me show you this. I use this all the time. In fact, that's what I used for the roof here. And I also use it to make anything dragon or mermaid-ish. This is super cheap. I have a roll of it that I've had forever. It's actually, you get it at Home Depot or Lowe's or any home improvement store. And it's plastic. It's the stuff that goes in your gutters to keep leaves and stuff from clogging up your gutters. And it works great in the studio. So another placemats. This would make really pretty design on the roof. In fact, I might use this one to do the roof. I think actually, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So basically, if I'm going to, I need to grab a pony roller. So with this project, it's a matter of just getting all your pieces, how you're going to decorate, get everything ready. And then you take the pieces that are supplied in the handy dandy, I think this was like $8 or $9, you know. It has all the pieces. You could even do trees and little stand-up trees. That'd be fun. But I basically decorate my pieces first, and then I leave them and let them set up. This one you want it to be more leather hard, more on that end of it. Otherwise, you'll need to support. This one I did without letting it dry out, and I had to put things in to hold the walls up because it was just too wet, too floppy. So you don't want floppy clay when you're making these because they need to stand up. So that's basically, let me go ahead and lower you down. All right, so all I'm going to do is roll this into the clay. I actually plan to make a couple of these today, so. I have 3 kids that are all ready to buy houses and priced out in the market, which I'm sure so many people are. And my one son, when I asked him what he wanted for Christmas, he goes, I want a house. He doesn't know it yet, but he's getting a house. Which claim a house, but you know, potters aren't known for their wealth. Except for they're rich in life. Maybe not rich in money, but I'd rather be rich in life. Okay, so when you do any type of texture, you want to lift that up and release it from the table before you cut anything. So then I'm just going to come around and figure out where I want my design to be on my roof. Let's see. Am I cutting on the right side? I guess it doesn't matter. So I'll cut 2 roofs. And I did roll this out on my slab roller to 3/8 and then compressed it. All right. Then we'll go ahead and cut this one out. So I've got my 2 roofs. You see how floppy they are? These will, you gotta let them dry out. Otherwise, it's just a frustrating exercise. I have this MKM tool. I have a lot of MKM tools, really like them. And it makes the cobblestones. I also used them on the fairy houses, but it just makes the little cobblestones. But wait a second, I have a brick pattern. Might be fun to do one with a brick. Let me see. Excuse me a second while I see what I can. Okay, these are technically not my favorite. I thought they were going to be a heck of a lot bigger when I ordered them. And I got them off of Amazon too. They looked a lot bigger, but they do work. I prefer the wooden tools because the clay doesn't really stick to them. But I'll show you a trick on how you can use cornstarch, but I actually like cooking spray when it comes to plastic and silicone. In fact, I might have to go rob my own kitchen. I do that all the time. And then I have to come out here to grab the cooking spray because the studio is set up so much better than my house. Let me set that one over there since I already used it. Don't get confused. So now what I want to do is I actually want to get rid of this texture that I rolled in because I don't want it for the sides. Just take my metal rib and smooth it all out. In fact, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to flip it over. That'll be the inside of our house. It won't really matter if it's not completely smooth. Okay, I prefer the more rustic looking bricks. I'm very much a fan of old world or rustic type things. Now, I could have put cornstarch in here, but I also know that I've got a big piece that I just rolled into this, and I can pick it up and peel it. That's kind of cool. So, let's go ahead and these are the pieces in the kit for the chimney. So, just going to cut the chimney out of the bricks. Set that aside. So I need 2 of these guys. And 2 of these ones. It's going to be close. I have to roll out some more. Ooh, very, very close, but it'll work. All right. You could even do a brick pattern for the sides of the house if you wanted a brick house. I'm a huge fan of cabins because that's what I grew up in. I love cabins. So let's go ahead and, even though it's snowing, humidity's up, I will cover my clay. Let's see. Might as well cover this one too. In fact, I bought my grandson, who's 4, I bought him, his birthday is tomorrow, and I bought him Lincoln logs. He doesn't know it yet, but after he plays with them for a bit, I'm going to make a mold of the Lincoln logs. So I actually have logs. I looked all over for a silicone mold that had logs, and I couldn't find one. This is the closest I could find. So I'm going to roll this into the clay. You'll end up cutting out a whole bunch of stuff, so don't try to get too perfect on things. And you're going to be cutting windows out and that kind of thing too. So I just want some wood patterns here. And I have used this that we use for the fairy houses. And then, so this house, I used that for the texture. And then I took a ruler and made the logs. So that's another way that you can do it. You could also draw in wood texture and make your logs that way if you wanted to. Or you could even paint them on. The only thing you're limited by is your imagination. And once you make one, I'll warn you, they're so fun to make. The gingerbread houses that you bake are so frustrating. At least they are for me, because I do my best baking in a kiln. So, not that I can't cook. It's like I've been there, done that, my kids are gone. So, I don't necessarily want to cook anymore. I'm a big fan of leftovers. I'm too busy to cook. I don't want to cook. I'd rather be doing stuff like this. Alright, so I just put a whole bunch of texture out on this thing, and then we'll see how much I can get cut out. So these are the sides. So I need 2 of those. Set those aside. I need 1 of these. Now I did find out on this one, because if you cut 2 of them, you're going to have 2 doors. So there's an escape door. This one, I didn't want the 2 doors. I wanted those big windows because you know this is sitting on a hill overlooking a lake somewhere, at least in my imagination. So you'll want to put your pattern on there, and I just kind of pressed it, take out the door, and then I cut this one out just so I didn't have that door, that second door. Okay. Then we'll pick that guy up. He gets to sit up over here too. Just put him down flat. Now, this gets all wedged back up and used again. All right, so now that I've got these, what you can do while you're waiting for them to dry up, you can be working on them, like what kind of windows you're going to do, that kind of thing. The door. So you can work on all your pieces, and actually it's probably a good idea to have a board just so that you can just work on them and not move them around too much. Because as a lot of you know, clay has a memory. You start moving stuff around too much and it's going to, might warp on you in the kiln. So I do have this miniature set of cookie cutters. So they make it really great for when you're doing a project like this. So like if you want to do different size windows or that kind of thing, this is a really fun way of doing it. So like if I want a big, I did a circle window on this one on both ends. I did a circle window. And this one I did that kind of a window, kind of mimics the house. So for this one, we'll do the circle. I like the circle. So I'll cut out my circle windows. Kind of try to keep them. We're constructing a house. We want, you know, things to be somewhat level. I love to build things. We actually built this studio. My husband, well, when you grow up in Alaska, you've got skills. You have to, because no one's going to come around and you're out in the boonies or whatever. You don't have, it's hard to get people to help you with things. This one, I think I'm going to do, they got to be different. So I'm going to set a one window on the side. I'm going to give it two. And I want them spaced far enough apart that I can do shutters. So I do try to keep doing these houses, I try to keep them a little bit more symmetrical to where on the fairy houses, I don't want symmetrical. All right. Now that I've got these shutters, well, I just cut out the inside of those windows. So here's the inside of the window. Well, it's going to make, it's the right size, right? So rather than waste the clay, I cut them in half. And then these are the shutters. So I should probably have set up my brushes. There's my brush and my sculpting tool. So at least this way, if they don't have hearts on them, I won't get them upside down. So I'm going to score the back. I'm not going to worry about scoring the house itself because it's got all that texture on it. And this clay is right out of the bag. So we'll put one over here. It's actually really fun to do things like this. At least I think so. One over here. Clay is just amazing because there's just so much you can do with it. Push them down in there really good. And if you lose some of the texture, don't fret, you can put it back. In fact, I plan to probably put something on these guys. Definitely put a little knob of some kind. Put this one in here. So you could do a little ball of clay, do a little knob for the shutters, but I'm not going to do that. My handy dandy pin. I'm going to come in here and put the knobs in this way. And then I'll lift this up and show you here in a second. This clay was still a little too soft. I actually pushed out the shutters. There we go, that's better. So there's my side walls with their little shutters and their little knobs. All right, so these guys, since I don't need shutters for the round windows, but I really like how I did this one window that looked like this round window, how it has the wood around it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So I just roll out a coil, take a scoring tool, and wave it down. If you've been watching my videos, you've seen this before because I do it quite a bit. It's really just a fun way of doing this. All right, so I'm just going to dip this guy in the water. And I will make the trim here around the circle. I'm going to put some decoration up here, so I'll cut it at the top and just put it together. And again, if you end up losing some of your texture, just kind of put it back in. Okay, so let's do that again for the other one. And I'll do this. Don't know yet what I want to do for this back one. If I wanted to do, maybe I'll just stick with 2 windows like I did on the sides instead of the 3 I did before. We'll see. I never really know where I'm going, which is part of the fun. And I really don't like making the same thing twice. I mean, that's boring, right? So, and this, these type of houses, there's so many things you can do that not boring, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm adding my texture in there. Okay, so I'm going to take my little bit of clay here. And do I have a sponge out yet? All right. As I'm handling the clay, it's starting to dry out. The more you handle your clay, the drier or the faster it'll dry out. So, I want to make some really thin coils here because these are going to be the window sashes or window trim. I don't know what the actual term for what we're doing. The wood casing? No. Oh well. You'll see what I'm going to do. So about there. And then carefully turn these guys over. And I'm going to score, make a cross is what I'm doing. All of these. Get them slightly just damp with a brush, a little drop of water. And I'll come here and press one in and do the other. Super simple. Be nice if actually building a house was this simple. Right now I'm just cutting them, pressing them on there just a little bit. I'm not working them in yet. And just cutting all my pieces to length here. And I'm out of clay. Now I'll come in with either my finger or this tool and press that down into the piece so that it's got a good connection. You got to work kind of gently here so that you're not ruining what you just did on the front. Now I'll just come back with my brush and just kind of smooth it so I don't have any goobers or sharp bits. You could make these houses to where they're actual boxes, to where you finish the bottom and make a box and the roof comes off and you could have things, treats inside. That'd be fun. Or just have them up for decoration and put lights inside of them. Okay, so once you have those down, you turn yours back over and then you want to press your wall back down. And that will also help that connection. So I need more clay. Whoops. So I need to do another coil for these guys. Like I said, if you flatten your coils out, twist them. Sometimes that works. If you get your clay really thin, sometimes it doesn't, it just breaks it. So let's see here, let's get this out just a little more. Actually, I'm gonna wait on that one because I don't know. I'll just go ahead and do this one for right now. You can also even just break it off and then just use your finger to smooth that in. Turn this one over, do the same thing. Okay, so we've got those done. So we need to figure out what we're gonna do on this guy. Let's go ahead and, so use this guy. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just do so it's just gonna have square windows and the round one. And I'll do the same thing with the shutters. Put in our little knobs. And then we'll turn this guy carefully over. Even though this is the inside, if you're going to be putting lights in it, or if you end up making a box out of it, people will put their hands in it, so you don't want any sharp bits. So that's how that looks. And then put it down here and do the same thing carefully, just press those down. We want this wall to be even, and we've kind of misshapen it by doing this. So that's why I press it back down. Okay, so now we need a door. And I really like this door. It's too big for this house. This door is perfect. And both of these were on Amazon. Just look for fairy house doors. But I will go ahead and take this door and I'll show you how I cut it down. So when I'm using these type of silicone molds, I really like to use the cooking spray. I get a better result than I do personally with the cornstarch. So I'll press it into the mold. It does make it slick when you add the vegetable spray. So you kind of have to hold it down and press your design into there. And then I can just pull that out like this. So you can tell this door is going to be way too big for this house. So first I'll cut it out. It's also one of my favorite doors to use for fairy houses. So you can see it's way too big. I'm also going to cut off this, it has a detail on this door, it has a little lion. I'm going to cut that off because I'm going to put a wreath on the door and it'll get in the way. So I'm just going to take that lion off of there. And just in case you can see the texture through the wreath, I'm just going to add in, just draw some lines to take that out. All right, so I'm just going to take this and literally cut it down on each side. Just a little bit until I get the door the way I want it. Okay, so I didn't do a very good job up here, so we'll cut that away. And you can make your own doors. It'd be really fun to do a little hobbit door. All right, so that'll fit. And I'm just using water. I don't have any special slip. So right now I'm just using water. Okay, so I do want trim around this door. So I will do the same thing I did for the round windows. I'll roll myself out of coil. Trim always makes everything look so finished. It does it in a regular house, does it in fairy houses, does it in Christmas cottages. Trim just makes it all look finished. Okay, do the same where I dip it in water and then I'm literally just going to, and sometimes I twist this so it's a little gnarly. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I like the gnarly and the organic, I guess. So, and just cut that off. See how easy that was to do? It makes all the difference. And while I've got, I'm just going to make a little ball. Actually, probably a bigger ball. So there's plenty to do on these as you wait for them to stiffen up. I'm going to give it a little doorknob. Take my pen. Press that little doorknob there. All right. So now I want to decorate. So I've got this also off of Amazon. Probably find it, there were a lot of them. So just go, I think it was like maybe $3 or $4. So I'm going for the middle one right now. And I just kind of pick off some clay where I think it'll fit. and then I will press it in here, take off any extra, just kind of work it in there. This gets some, it just takes practice to know how to work with these molds with the clay, because they're not meant for clay. They're meant for food, fondant or something. So I can pull that out, and I've got little holly leaves. And so I'm going to score the back of the holly leaf. I've already got that roughed up, so I really don't need that. And I'm just going to come over here and set this down on my window. I'm going to do another one for the other one. So you'll end up spending all this time decorating your house before you put it together. Unless you get too crazy with your decorations, then some of them you might want to wait so that they don't get accidentally knocked off. Technically, these things could wait, because I did knock off a few of these when I was doing that one. I'm not careful where my hands were. All right, so I got another one here. Press it on there. If you're really good with slip decoration, you could treat your slip, or like slip trailing, you could treat that just like you would icing. And that would be super cool, because you could actually draw your icing on, make icicles. I don't have any slip really prepared for something like that. That little one's really tough. Let's see, let's do something else. Let's see, what else can we do? I do have, let's go ahead and do our wreath. This little guy, yeah, I really need to go get some more of this. This has got a little wreath on it. I have too much clay. Sometimes when you have too much clay, hold down, if you're using the cooking spray, hold down your clay before you do this. Otherwise the whole thing just comes out. This one's tricky because it has a hole in the middle of it. The cooking spray actually helps to kind of keep the clay a little bit moister so it doesn't dry out too bad when you're doing this. All right, so I've got my wreath. I want to put a wreath on the door. Whoops, I don't support your door from the inside before you push. Otherwise you're going to get concave door. Okay, so that one is finished. And then these ones I have to decide. I did put these little guys here, but it's almost like there's not enough room. So I just might leave these guys alone, not do anything on the sides or on these windows. Unless I can come up with something. I actually want to get rid of that. I still have some lines in from that. There we go, that's better. All right. So now it just sets up. So I will come back to this later when I can join the pieces. Okay? Go get some lunch. Okay. One thing I found that it is easier to put, I mean, these are small enough pieces that you can put them together fairly easy. So one thing I've found too, that it's easier to come in here and do a 45. And I'll just hold my knife at a 45 and just go down all of them. And then do the same thing to the other side. And what this does is, so I've made a 45, I don't know if you can see that. And so it's going to make it easier to make a miter joint, like if you've ever done wood or anything like that, it makes a miter joint, and so it makes it easier. I didn't do that on the first one I made, and I had extra clay I didn't like. I ended up this one didn't turn out quite so pretty because I didn't miter those. You can see that they just were square meeting, and so I mitered the other one and liked it much better. That's how pottery works. You do it once, then you figure out how to do it better. It evolves. So I'm just going to score all these guys. I am working with Laguna speckled buff clay. And the reasoning is because it comes out kind of a toasty speckle. And I want it to look like gingerbread because I don't plan to glaze this whole thing. So I'm just pushing those together like that. Oops, need the brush. Trying not to ruin my texture. Actually, when you've got it at this stage, you can reach in there and at least clean up those two seams. On the house, I'm going to coil the seams, but this, I mean, it's just the chimney. It's not very structural in the sense that it'll hold its shape. It's not going to need to be coiled. So get all those edges together, and then I will clean it up. And then the chimney will just set up too. Kind of pinch them together. And then go in here and get those extra joints that didn't get cleaned up. Just take my brush over the outside one. And then I will just take my finger on the top. I'm going to cover this with snow anyway. All right, so there is our chimney. So it can set up so we can put it on our house. All right, now I'm going to go get lunch and I will see you after. Okay, I'm back, all fueled up to finish. So hopefully we are ready to assemble the house. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the chimney. That's what that's called. And I'm going to cut these guys at a 45. Both ends. On this one, I didn't cut them at a 45 because I wanted to kind of make it look like logs. So that's an option too. On this one, we're going to go ahead and, since I haven't done a 45 on these guys yet, we're going to see if it's easier. So I'm just going to cut the little wall there. On all of these. You definitely, while you're waiting for one to set up, you could be rolling out the other and working on it so that you just go into assembly mode. Okay. So I'm going to score those. Basically just going to score everything. I'm not sure which one. You know what? I think it goes that way. Maybe? Maybe not? Oh well. It's going to go that way now. This is really the hardest part of it. So I do suggest having some sort of a bat. It'll make it easier because you don't want to handle your house too much, because that could definitely make it harder to put together. All right, so just gonna set this on here and press that together. Careful of my shutters. So I am going to come back in. Let's see. Make sure they're going the right direction. So I need to do this side. So I'm going to put those walls together at that 45 and press them in. Okay, so while I've got this easy to access, I want to make a little coil. To strengthen this up. So I'm going to bring in a little coil. Actually, I'm going to be thinner than that. You don't need a real thick coil, just a really thin one. Right now I'm just going to set them up here, get the size that I need, and then I will smooth it in. So support your outside wall and then press that coil in there. If you don't do the coil, you'll have issues. Because basically, since I cut that at a 45 too, there's not a lot that's holding this house together. And so by adding this coil, it gives you that strength. And makes it less likely for it to crack. I do cover these for a while and let them just get some time to get to know each other, all the moisture content to equal out, slow down the drying so one side doesn't dry faster than the other, all that kind of stuff. That's why we cover stuff, is to get the clay so they can become friends, so the clay marries to each other and becomes one. All right, so I'm just going to smooth that out. And then I can come in here now and just kind of clean that up, this little edge. If got any water or slip in there, definitely brush that out so that a little difficult to get my fingers in there. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing over on this one. Just kind of hold them together. See what I mean? That if the clay was still floppy, you wouldn't be able to do this. You'd have to support it from the inside, which is what I did, and I almost lost the roof the first time I did this. Patience! Pottery is really good about teaching you patience, let me tell you. Actually, there we go. Whoops, that side. Okay, do the same thing with this one. Smooth it in there. This clay actually, since it's got grog in it, actually works really good for... B-mix is what I did this one out of. And then I took iron oxide and made a wash and stained it so it looked like wood or gingerbread. And hopefully with this, I'll probably still do the iron oxide wash, but I think it'll end up looking more like gingerbread. Because like, if you look at this one, the only things I glazed was the snow on the top, the doors, shutters, and then the decoration. I didn't glaze anything else. I put white underglaze in here and wiped it back, added white to the top to give it more snow. But the house itself is not glazed, just the chimney and the doors and the shutters and the decoration. So for glazing, sure is a lot easier than a fairy house. All right, make sure I've got all of that connected really well. And then we get to do the roof. So while I've still got this, I am going to score the roof and score down here too. One thing I did on the other one, let me grab some clay here and I'll show you. I really, really like how I added a log beam up there. So I'm gonna go ahead. That was a little tricky getting that in there, so I think it might be easier. We'll find out if it's easier or not. Take you along for the ride with me. So basically I want to roll out a log. Okay, my clay's drying out on me. All right, that looks about good. And I'm just looking at log ends is what I'm looking at. You know what? I'm gonna have to wait to do the log until I get the roof on. Okay, I thought that would be easier, but I don't know the distance to make the log, so we'll have to wait. So I'm going to go ahead and get this wet. So I need to kind of give myself an idea. It's almost easier to do it this direction so you can see. And then draw yourself a line so you know where to score on the inside of this. Now you could miter this top and join it that way, but I'm going to, you know what, I did that wrong. I'm going to actually rub out my score lines there. I had it upside down. This design that I cut out is a little smaller on the top and bigger on the bottom, so that's why I did that. See, I've already done that side wet. So I do like that it overhangs a little bit. So now I need to push this on. You can coil this if you want to. I didn't. Once you've got it in here, you've got a lot of clay on this back wall. So take a tool, like one of your wooden knives, and take that clay, and I'm just pushing it up into the roof, supporting it from the outside. Okay. And then just kind of clean up those. And then we'll come in here and try to make this look neat. Kind of push them, hold the one side. Watch out for your windows and your decoration. And then you can take your tool and just kind of smooth that. I just kind of smooth it on this one, and then I will go in and really smooth it so that it's my joints on the inside that are better connected than on the outside. Looks like I've got some texture here from cookie cutter. I want to get that out. All right, next one. Okay. So I'm just kind of putting it up here and kind of getting myself an idea where it's going to fall. And then I will score that. Make sure I'm doing, yeah, okay, good. I'm doing it the right way this time. Get that wet. So the construction, if you give yourself enough time to, whoops, to get it set up, to let it set up, if you do that, then it's a lot easier to put together. All right, so make sure the roof lines are coming out the same. This one's a little tricky to put on. Granted, it's a lot more stable, and so you can push against it. But this is where you're going to have to pick it up and put it together. And I am taking this roof. I didn't do it at a 45, but I'm going to pinch this together here. But then I'll also show you we're going to also put the chimney up here. Kind of bring that clay up pinch it together. I'll work on that in a minute. So smooth that line. Come over here. Make sure that that's pushed against each other. Smooth this line. Okay, so the tricky part is you got to pick it up. Okay, so pick it up carefully in your hand, and we want to, this line here, we want to join it to the roof. I'm going to use the little one. The little one takes smaller bits of clay and less pressure. You have to spend more time with the little one, but it'll work. And then I can come in and really smooth that seam there. And then I will just take a brush and smooth out my tool marks, just so that nothing rough, all nice and neat. I'm one of those that, people aren't probably going to pick it up and look on the inside and so forth, but a lot will. And so it's a good idea to have your inside. It doesn't have to look as good as your outside, but, you know, have it be finished. Have it look good. Same thing with these. Now that I've got it in my hand, I can do these miters, these little corners I couldn't reach before. So just spend a little bit of time going over, making sure that everything looks pretty good. On the inside, I mean, it doesn't have to look stellar, but, you know, fairly smooth anyway. All right, so now carefully put that back down. All right, and I'm just checking my roof line to make sure that they're even, you know, that there's no flip or whatever. And now I am going to attach, oh God, this is looking cute. So cute. So now I'm going to attach our chimney. So I have noticed with this cookie cutter that the chimney, if you can see how it stands out, I've noticed that it doesn't matter how I put that together, I still end up with that problem. So I'm going to actually cut this and make it a steeper cut. Because I think that's the problem. We'll find out, won't we? So if I made a steeper cut, that's going to fit better. Yeah, that's going to be a lot better. Okay, so now score this guy on the inside. Let's see how I'm just, you know what, I'm going to cut some of that clay away there, make it a little bit 45 so that it'll fit against the roof easier. Okay. Well, you can also just dip it. How's that for fast? I kind of want it in the middle. So, and then I've got texture on here, so I'm just going to wiggle this guy on. Until he catches. Okay. And then I am gonna just smooth this into the roof. I'm not gonna worry too much about all the connections here because I'm going to cover this roof. I really like, I've got B-Mix slip, which is ends up being kind of a cream, and then I'll paint it with white underglaze so it's actually bright white. But B-Mix and this Laguna speckled buff have the same shrink rate. So since they have the same shrink rate, you can use them together. Just get that down. And one thing I also want to do is I want to put a hole in my roof because it's a chimney. Let me grab a hole cutter. So you could easily put a candle in here. You would have smoke, or you could do a incense. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a hole so that if you do a candle, or anybody, I mean, it's just another way that they can use it. So it now has a hole. You could cut it square if you want to. I'm just going to leave it like that. All right. So I'm just kind of pushing this against the roof, making sure I have a good connection. And that is basically it until this next step. That is looking so cute. I'm just going to clean up some of my, you know what, I kind of taking my roller, kind of want to add some detail here. This is where you can go nuts. I'm just going to roll that up, just give it a little bit of a Swiss Alp, you know, little detail. Cool. All right, so now I'm gonna, I like the log coming out. That's too big. There's a knife. So I'm just gonna put a, so it looks like there's a log there. Yeah, there you go. So I got this beam going all the way through the cabin. That one needs to be a little longer. Let's see about this one. Okay, that'll work. So I'm just gonna square the end of that. And I plan to actually put a stamp here, so. And that, the pressure of the stamp will actually push that faux log in a little further too. I have all these bis stamps. It's a good idea to start make yourself a whole bunch of bis stamps. Here it is. So I've got this favorite one. It's got this little swirl, and to me it looks like the end of a log. And so a lot of times when I'm doing wood, I will put that little swirl, little stamp. So look around for texture, nature, or anywhere, and make some stamps or carve your own. Let me show you how that looks. See how, can you see the little detail? It's just another place for, you know, decoration, detail. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna frost my house. All right, so I have my slip. Let me move some stuff out of the way here. And I have a palette knife here. So just double check, give it one more look, make sure you like where it is. And then this is just literally B-Mix and water I've let it, if you watch the Santa Clauses, I let this thing thicken up, and then I hit it with an immersion blender so it's smooth. It's not one that I would pipe with because I haven't put it through a sieve, but it's like frosting or peanut butter. And I'm going to come in here and give this a whole bunch of snow. So, and I'm going to frost it. So basically, this is another reason why you want it to, I put it underneath plastic for a while, because the slip will dry out, even though it's kind of goopy. The slip's going to dry out faster, and I don't want the slip to crack. And so if I slow down the drying, I'll have better luck with my slip. And then I'm just like we did with the Santa Clauses for their beards, I'm basically gonna add snow to my roof and just kind of frost it, you know, something that will look naturally like snow. So you can take it down as far as you want, make drifts, make designs. And I'll take it up to the base of that chimney. And I'm going to put it on the top of the chimney. Think about how, you know, snow falls, where it sticks. So it wouldn't cover your chimney, but it would definitely be on the top edge of your chimney. And then I just spend some time and manipulate this how I want it. It's actually really fun to do this. I'll add just a little bit. It's like painting with mud. I mean, it's just so much fun. And if it's thick enough, you can get it to where it looks like it's just gonna, you know, how snow just kind of drifts and falls. You can definitely add that to it. Okay, so we need some more snow here. Oh, definitely need snow on the back. Don't even have snow here. Now, this is another reason why you want this to set up, your walls to set up, because if you're going to add a bunch of slip like I'm doing right now, that's going to go, the moisture in the slip is going to weaken your walls. So if you've already got wet walls, whoops. So if you've already got wet walls, it could potentially just really eat through your roof and collapse it. So if you get slip where you don't want it, just get a sponge, take it out. I think it would be fun to, actually all this design from that placemat, I think it'd be fun to paint it in different colors, kind of like candy. Take some stroke and coats and do something like that. I think I'm going to take the snow down on the sides a little bit. How fun is this? I just love it. Now, you see how I've got some points on there? You want to knock those down as it dries. I will let this kind of set up before I cover it. And then, you know, it might be kind of cool to have some snow sitting on our log because it's protruding from the house. So I think I'll do that. Just on the very top. Yeah, so one thing like on the Santa Clauses, I went through and made designs. Well, snow doesn't really do that. So I'm actually going to smooth out some of the snow, make it not so rough, kind of more smooth. I mean, I do want it to show some texture and so forth, but snow falls like a blanket on houses and stuff. So I do want to kind of smooth this out just a bit, make it look, if it's going to have texture, I want it to look like it came from the wind, not that I just frosted it. So I'll spend a little bit of time just getting the slip the way I want it. So, all right, that's about it for this one. I do plan to make another, because why not, right? And then, but that's basically how I make them. They're super fun. In fact, I have challenged my students to make some. If you've been watching along the kiln openings, you've seen some that have come out of the kiln openings. But I got to show you this one by Savannah. Savannah is such a sculptor. So, excuse me while I move you. Let me see if I can get you up there. It's kind of hard to see, and I don't want to pick it up because it's still drying. She's got a dragon tearing into her roof. How cool is that? And then I've got McKay, Pottery by Max. She's made a bunch. And hers are just very minimalist, white, totally white, all of them. Just windows cut out of them and so forth. I'm the one that always goes overboard. I'm that kind of girl. You know, I like my bling, or at least I like my bling on stuff like this. And anyway, so, but yeah, everybody's been making houses. So hopefully in the next couple of kiln unloadings, we'll have more to show. But these are three. I've got the one we just did, which is really kind of similar to the one I showed you earlier. But how fun is this? You know, cute little holiday house to go with little Christmas cottage to go with the Christmas trees we've been doing, you know. And then this one, just love it. Love that roof. Might have to individually paint those to make them look like candies too. And then this one. This was my first one. My one I learned on. But it's still super cute. I love the lace detail. And this was just a piece of bridal lace. So anyway, all right. So that's it. I have videos for you. I actually go into surgery, fingers crossed, tomorrow. They apparently have body parts back in. So I got a call. I'm supposed to show up. I'm waiting to see if I get a call tomorrow saying, nope, sorry. We're going to reschedule you again. So not sure what's happening. I'm just kind of giving it over to the universe and just going with the flow, because it just drives you crazy if you try to control everything and you just can't. So in the meantime, this is my last day and I'm playing in the studio on a snowy, beautiful winter day. So I hope you're doing great wherever you are, and I hope you can get into the studio and get your hands muddy. So we all need to be muddy, be messy. All right, have a great one, and we will see you in the next one.